If you ever thought that vision board were a waste of time, pretty pictures that do nothing, stay right here, because this was on my vision board, and this was also on my vision board. This life-changing moment, yep, you guessed it right, also on my vision board. It's still crazy to me that I have managed to do all these things and make most of my vision board come true. This isn't some manifested and it will appear kind of fairy tale. This is about making your brain works for you and not against you. And in 2026, we're not just dreaming, we're actually designing. Because let's be honest, most of vision boards, they're just glorified Pinterest board that collects dust. They're pretty to look at, but they don't actually work. Why? Because most people are skipping one crucial step. And this is what we're going to talk about today. In today's video, we're going to make a vision board together, and I'm going to tell you the things that worked for me, the mistakes that I've made in my previous vision boards, and how I prepare things to make my vision board works. So before you even start opening Pinterest or Canva, the first thing I want you to do is grab a note, grab a pen. Let's start making one of the first and most crucial step, which is the audit. A vision board isn't some sort of magical vending machine where you just press a button and the universe delivers you whatever you want. That's not how it works. You need to see the vision board as some sort of filter. It trains your reticular activating system, you know, that part of your brain that sorts all the noises, to stop opportunities that are already around you and to actively seek the ones that aligns with your true desires. So in here, instead of thinking about manifesting your true desires, we're gonna kind of like work a little bit the opposite and kind of go with anti-manifesting. That's why I want you to grab a note and a pen, because I want you to answer with me those uncomfortable questions. First question I want you to answer is, who was I jealous of in 2025? I know, that sounds toxic, but hear me out. Jealousy, when you dissect it, is just a map with bad attitude. For example, if you were jealous of your friend who's got a promotion, it's not about them, but it's about what the promotion means and represents to you. Maybe recognition, financial stability, or a challenge. If you felt a pang of envy watching this travel vlogger, this probably means that you're craving for freedom, or adventure, or just new experiences. Don't judge the feelings, just steal the datas. What does that envy reveals about your own unmet desires? The next question is more about envisioning your ideal Sunday. In your dream life, what does your Sunday morning actually looks like? This is where we stop writing an unhelpful goal like be rich or be happy, because your brain does not know how to be rich, but it does know how to look for reading a book on a balcony at 9 a.m. with a cup of coffee and no alarm set. Be specific. The more detail, the clearer you send signal to your subconscious. And finally, I want you to answer the following question. What am I still doing out of guilt that needs to stay out in 2025? Because you can't add new positive habits and pursuit if you're lacking consistently energy for things that don't longer serves you. It could be a social obligation, it could be a draining friendship, it could be mindless scrolling habit. It's important to identify it and acknowledge it. Then you can decide whether it's coming with you in 2026. Now that you have answered those questions, we're not done yet, I know. Before we even think about searching for images, here are 3 non-negotiable rules for what actually makes a cut onto your vision board. Rule number 1. On your vision board, don't just pin a generic beach scene just because it looks pretty. Pin the specific country you're saving for, or the feeling of the calm that beach represents. If you can't explain why that image is there in one concise sentence, delete it, because it's clutter, not clarity. When I made my vision board, I had very specific pictures in mind because I was already picturing myself being there. When I went to Kamakura, I took a video of the picture I had in my vision board because I wanted to see that scenery. When I went to Bali, I specifically took that waterfall shot because I told myself I want to go there so I can also take a picture like this one. Plan my trip to Bali, but I also actively search for the waterfall. That's what I mean by if you are able to specifically within one sentence explain why you are adding this picture to your vision board, it means that it has sense for you to be there because it has a true reason to be there. And that's why I want to emphasize this, because here it's really not about just adding pretty picture or a vibe, but really a way to picture ourselves doing this eventually or having something as close as possible from it. The second rule I want you to keep in mind is the process over destination. This is probably one of the biggest mistake people makes when trying to make a vision board that works. They fill their boards with trophies, such as like a six-pack, or maybe a dream house, or a massive bank account. And I know what I'm talking about because I have made that mistakes in the past as well. The reality is that you don't live in the result, you live in the journey. Instead of putting pictures of the perfect body or the dream body, put pictures of the process, which is healthy meal prep, a pair of running shoes, or a vibrant farmer's market, to remind you that you need to eat healthy in order to obtain that result. We need to shift our mind with falling in love with the doing and not just the having. And rule number 3, no fantasy self. If you hate running, don't put a marathon runner on your vision board just because it looks aesthetic or because it feels like you should do it, and or because everybody is doing it on social media, so you feel guilty and you feel like it should be one of the milestones you should achieve right now. No, that's not your vision, that's someone else's. Put images of things that you actually enjoy. It could be images of dance classes because you've dreamed of going back onto dance classes, go on a hike, or maybe a yoga studio because you've been dying to go back to yoga, and so having a picture of yoga studio could actually energize you by looking at it and makes you want to feel the vibe of going to yoga, or at least do yoga in some forms of shape. A vision board is meant to build your life, not an idealized version of an influencer's life. Maybe some of idealized things are things that you would want in the future, but we're thinking about 2026, so for now we focus on what we really want in 2026. If an image makes you feel not enough or pressured rather than excited, then it's not a vision board in the end, it's a torture board, because you'll keep feeling guilty or bad about yourself every time you look at it. And that's not the purpose of making a vision board. Now that we got rid of the tough part, but at the same time it's a very important step, it's time to get to the fun part. And to make sure you do it right and avoid feeling overwhelmed, I actually created something for you. This is going to be your 2026 Vision Architect Guide. It's a 3 pages fillable PDF that takes everything we just talked about and put it into a concrete plan for your vision board. It's going to help you brain dump, filter, and create your own blueprint. It's completely free, and if you're interested in using it, I'll leave a link in the description or in the pinned comments. I've designed this guide to overcome what usually overwhelms us, and I hope it will be helpful. Feel free to give it a try and let me know in the comments if it helps. Now, assuming that we have a clear idea of what we want, we have a clear compass, we know what are our quick wins, and we know what are the transformative, life-changing goals that we have in mind for 2026, it's time to open up our Canva and start designing the vision board. I personally love using Pinterest, but you can also use Google Images or even PhotoStop for Canvas, or even your own photos for this. Remember, here when choosing the pictures, the key is to be intentional. For example, if one of your anchor goals for health is to run more or become more active, don't just search running, but search training for a marathon or training for running, or maybe health runner meals. Again, we want images that reflect the process and not the finish line. We need to apply ruthlessly those 3 rules that we talked about earlier. Every single image needs to pass the white check, the process over destination, and the no fantasy self. The more you apply those rules, the more effective your vision board is going to be. Once you've curated a collection of images, what I like to do is to make my vision board a little bit more fun to watch, is to kind of add a bit of dimension. Maybe I'll give a sort of like sticker paper effect, or maybe like a masking tape effect, or some glitters and diamond, just to make it look cute. That would emphasize of 2026, and add wording that makes sense to the vibe I'm going for. In my previous video, I mentioned every year I'd like to choose a word to define my year, and I'll do my best to put that word, or at least like vibes and images that reflect that word within my vision board. or at least keywords I want to keep as a motto for the rest of the year. Last year, my motto was consistency is key, and I think I somewhat did a great job maintaining consistency in some way. This is actually where you can start making it visually appealing. This is after putting all the images together, you can start to curate it and decorate it in the way that it looks nice to you. The reason why I'm now doing my vision board digitally over paper is because I noticed putting my vision board as a wallpaper on my laptop and on my phone, the fact that I'm looking at it consistently every day, multiple times a day, every time I look my phone, I subconsciously look at it. When I'm on my laptop, I subconsciously also look at it every time I work. And the fact that I'm bombarded by those visions all the time, it kind of triggers my brain to remember those goals and to eventually act on it. For 2026, I'm going to do the same. You don't need a tutorial once you have collected all the images. It's really about arranging images the way you want to in an aspiring and logical way and appropriating those images to yourself so it can feel that it really belongs to you. Just remember though, we don't want our vision board to be filled with hundreds of images. I would say ideally stick to a certain number. This year I actually decided to make my vision board alongside with one of my friends, and I figured that it will be a great way to help each other and to also show her how I make it, help her define and decide what should be in the vision board. Hello! Are you ready to do this?
I mean, almost.
Do you have an idea of like what you want to put in your vision board?
I have a few things in mind, but I don't know. I think I would just let my imagination go freely.
The way we're going to do it first, since you're telling me that you kind of have a rough idea, I've come up with a guide, but I can already kind of walk you through to kind of help you filter what should be in the vision board and what shouldn't.
But so
yeah.
2024 is very clear.
Yeah. But I wasn't as intentional as I was in this one, because in this one I was like, I'm definitely gonna do all these things and I want to achieve it. And it also felt less overwhelming to me. It was not a bunch of big goals, it was just a bunch of small goals that felt easy to achieve, My focus obviously for that year was mostly travel. And that I have done actually all these travels. 95% of what's on that vision board has been achieved. What hasn't been achieved is this and me having that body. But I was working out actually. Oh, and also Beijing. I wanted to go to Beijing, but in the end I didn't have time when I left China. But all the rest, I was able to tackle it in one way or another. After helping Tammy figuring out what was best to put on her vision board, it was time to design it. And in here, really, it's all about your own sense and taste. Whether you want to put bigger picture, smaller picture, I still recommend the fewer the better. But then when it comes to customize it, make it your own. So remember, it's important to enjoy watching it because this is going to be in front of your face literally every day. Nice!
I love it, Sabrina. Thank you so much.
No problem. I'm so glad I was able to help.
Oh my god, this is cute.
See?
It looks cute.
It makes you want to look at it. So there you have it. A vision board that isn't about wishful thinking, but about intentional action, honest process, and consistent progress. I truly believe that if you follow to the letter everything I told you in this video, you will make a vision board more successful than you think. Now, I'm not promising you that you will achieve everything in your vision board, but I'm pretty sure that you would achieve at least half of it. It's about designing a life that truly aligns with who you are and not who you think you should be. If you haven't already, don't forget to grab your free 2026 visual architect guide in the description below and let me know more about your vision board or even your word for the year. Mine is expression, like I mentioned in my previous video. I'll link the video here if you haven't watched already. If you find this helpful, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this ones in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye!